Welcome, welcome. I see a lot of familiar faces from last week, some new ones as well. How the heck are you? Come on in, the water is warm. We're waiting for a lot of people just to load, get their microphones set, get their cameras, It's 2023, this is what we say out loud. Everyone's got microphones and cameras and gear. It's unbelievable. Unbelievable. Well, welcome. We're so excited that you are here at Palm Health. We couldn't be more thrilled. I'm Joel Gamron. I am the resident chef here at Palm Health. I know maybe a couple of you might know me from Homemade, but I'm working with Palm Health on this goal. We both have this shared goal where we believe that there's an unbelievable intersection between the joy of cooking and clinical care. And a lot of the ways that we, think of our world now, how people are dying earlier, how there's chronic diseases, a lot of that is food related. And we think if we can get in front of that and really help people change the way that they consume food, and a lot of that starts right here in the kitchen, that's our mission. That's what Palm Health is all about. So again, we're really grateful that you are taking the responsibility of your own self to be here, to engage with us. We couldn't be more excited. Like I said, I'm Joel. I'm going to be your fearless leader today. We do have some other people. I do want to say this is our third episode. It's part of a 6-part series. So we're halfway through. I'm kind of sad. It's a little tear you can't see, but it's happening. And so obviously there's way more Palm Health classes on the way, but this has been an incredible kind of pilot series. And I'm going to say this a couple of times throughout, but it's really important that you guys are a part of this. We want to hear from you. So a couple of things. One is we're going to send out a survey. Please take the time to fill that out. It's just so meaningful to us so that we can really up our game for the next class. 2, make sure that you can find someone that could participate. We'd love for you to help spread the word. And then 3, more than anything, keep showing up. We just want you here. Next week, we are making the most amazing mac and cheese, but also chili. So just because it's healthy food, guys, doesn't mean you can't have a little comfort there too. So today, it's all about the exact same thing. I'm actually so excited about this recipe. I learned how to make bolognese in Italy. I'll talk about that in a little bit. But what's really nice about this bolognese is it's really hard to mess up. It's really hard to mess up. And it's using a lot of ingredients that we always have on hand. If you go in the pantry right now, I'll bet you have at least half, if not most of the ingredients. Tomato paste, chili flakes, some jarred tomato sauce. And speaking of jarred tomato sauce, today we have kind of this theme that I believe you can absolutely have a fantastic meal that's good for you, that's not completely made from scratch. And so we're going to talk about labels a lot. And with that, we've got some support because, let's be real, I'm a chef. So let me include the rest of the Palm Health team. First, we have our registered dietitian, Julie. Julie, do you mind giving a quick bio and saying hi?
Hi everyone, I'm Julie. I'm a registered dietitian, also a chef. I went to culinary school and I am loving this food first approach when it comes to nutrition. So I'm going to be your guide today about label reading, about ingredients, and any nutrition questions that you have.
You are such a breath of sunshine. Thank you, Julie. And then this is really cool. Part of these classes is we have an incredible doctor, Dr. Hellerstein. Hi, Dr. Hellerstein. How are you?
I'm great. So I'm here from Boston. I'm an OBGYN practicing physician at Mass General Brigham, and I've been working with my patients for years now. They want to know why, what, and especially how to eat in a healthy way, and we've got all the ingredients. I might have some of the why, Julie's the what, and Joel's the how. As I said before, I'm like a 3rd-generation culinary medicine person. My grandmother taught me how to cook, and she wrote a cookbook in the 1950s called Gourmet Cooking for Cardiac Diets. She loved to cook. Her husband was a cardiologist, and so she went to the kitchen with the science of the day and wrote the book. It's not quite as sophisticated as our understanding now, but she's the one that got me in the kitchen as a kid. So
You never told me
that's
that,
me.
Dr. Hellerstein, that you've got some cookbook authors in the family. That's
I know,
cool.
but you know what I remember? The recipes I remember she told me is how to make dill pickles and chocolate roll cake. So I don't remember the healthy ones quite as much, but she got me going.
I mean, I could live off both those things. That sounds amazing. Thank you for being here. And then finally, in the chat, we know there's a lot of people, upwards of 50, 60 people, a part of this incredible group. So we know that's a lot of people to talk in front of, but we, of course, encourage it. We'll talk about that. We have co-founder of Palm Health, Misha. Hi, Misha. So Misha's going to be in the chat. Yeah. And she is incredible. Not only is she very, very knowledgeable when it comes to health and medicine, but also on the food side of things. So Misha will be there if you need any support. Dr. Hellerstein, I'd love to start with this idea of labels before we get cooking. What is kind of the overarching theme that we want people to take away from this class?
Okay, so last week we talked about that like Palm Healthy Plate, and Joel's going to show us how to do that at the end today. But this week we want to do some healthy hacks. We want to say you can cook using some convenience items, adding really healthy vegetables to get to that healthy plate in there. But the way to know which convenience items you want to go for when you go to the store is learning how to read those labels. And they're super confusing, so we're going to focus on 3 simple things. One is the ingredient list, like the first 3 ingredients. The second thing is added sugar, and the third thing is salt. So that we want to make it simple. We'll go back to those 3 main ideas a couple times today. But we want to make it easy. We want you to be able to cook at home and not feel intimidated by everything needs to be from scratch.
I love that, and it's so true. So let's get cooking, shall we? So step 1 to this bolognese. For those of you who don't know what a bolognese is, it's a meat sauce. It's a ragu. It wraps around pasta, and it's incredibly warming. And let's be real, you're kind of supposed to eat it in the winter. I'll eat that all summer long. I don't care. This is just one of those dishes you need to know how to make a great meat sauce, and we've got some good hacks along the way. So first step is I've got a big, wide saucepan here, kind of like open. It's almost more like a saute pan. And what I'm going to do is start with a little bit of olive oil on the bottom of the pan. And I've got some ground beef. It's 80-20, so I'm going to put that right in. And I'm just going to start kind of breaking that up with my spoon. Right when it comes in, it kind of comes out of that extruder. But I break that up with my spoon, and when I say it's 80-20, I mean that it's 80% muscle, 20% fat. And these percentages, actually, I think this one's even leaner. I'm saying this one's actually 96-4. So 96% muscle, 4% fat. It's really lean. So they come in all these different percentages, and now we're already talking about labels. But it makes a big difference. Julie, what is the big difference? I mean, when I cook with lean ground beef like this, right, versus cooking with like an 80-20, which is what you see in a lot of burgers, is that really going to affect my health that much?
Totally. So that percentage is, you're talking mostly that saturated fat. And if we can reduce the saturated fat in our intake and swap it out with these unsaturated fats, that's the best option. And the misconception is these really lean meats, so like really lean beef or lean chicken or turkey, that is going to dry out.
Yeah.
But if you add more flavorful and moist ingredients, like a bolognese sauce, it's not going to be dried out at all. It's going to be flavorful and juicy and tender.
I love that, and it's so true. And so at this point, olive oil, beef is in there. The house smells unbelievable. Now, this is something you would never see in a bolognese, at least never in an Italian bolognese, but we're adding it in, and I'm so curious why we're adding it in. So either Doctor or Julie, let me know, but we're gonna add in a nice heaping tablespoon of turmeric. Why?
So I'll take this one. So turmeric has so many great health benefits. It's known for its anti-inflammatory benefits. And that's what we're trying to accomplish with this overall lifestyle of eating well, is we want to calm the inflammation in our body. And spices, herbs, plants, all of that is going to encompass that and help us move forward with an anti-inflammatory diet.
I
Plus, it
love
has
that.
great flavor.
You're sneaking it in. I love it. It totally does. And I'm also seeing, Luke, if we can get close into the pan, look at how it colors the beef. It kind of gives it this golden, beautiful vibe. So it's just going to make this darker and richer, which is so beautiful. So I kind of broke it up. I want this to get a little crispier. And in the meanwhile, we're going to cut up some beautiful vegetables. So I've got carrots, celery, and onion. Can anyone tell me, what are those three things called together? It's a very chefy term. Who can tell me
Am I
that?
allowed to answer?
No, you are not.
Oh, we have some answers. Our chat is our audience is knowledgeable.
What do you got?
Foodies.
Both Kirsten and Kathy and Christine are telling us it's mirepoix. Is that my favorite
Mirepoix.
word?
Yeah, you said it perfectly. And this is kind of the holy trinity, these three things in French cooking. When I went to cooking school in California, this was one of the first things they teach you how to chop and get ready. And there's a reason for it. The onions are extremely kind of, strong and pungent. The carrots are sweet. And then the celery is very mild and vegetal. And so those three things kind of come together and they work perfectly when it comes to flavor. And they're all really healthy. So I just chopped up the onions into little strips, and then I'm just cutting those little strips down into like a little dice. And I say this every single class. We cook with so many vegetables here at Palm Health that if you don't like chopping, and that stands in the way of you cooking at home, really invest in a food processor and just put all of this in there, press the button, baby, and that thing will be ground up, ready to go, and you don't even have to bust out a knife or worry about your fingers. I then got my celery, and again, I'm just cutting these into small, kind of bite-sized pieces, nothing crazy. So we did talk a little bit about labels just in general. Obviously, there's no real labels when it comes to fresh vegetables, but Dr. Hellerstein, is there kind of like, when you're at the grocery store, I'm just curious, like, are you literally, if something is canned or packaged, are you literally turning it around and like, what is the very first thing you look for? I'm just curious from a doctor's perspective.
Well, I've learned how to read them. I can't say that I've learned a lot about this in med school, but I've learned. And what I've learned is each time I go, I focus just on one or two aspects. And I think the most important thing to start with is looking at the ingredient list. And just look, they're listed in order of the most, the highest ingredient is first, second, and third in order. So I look and see, are the first three things something that I recognize? They're like real food. They're something that I want to eat. And they're not sugar or they're not salt.
Yes.
But they're like real. So it's tomatoes. That should be the first ingredient is tomatoes, for example.
Yeah, if you look on the back of a can of tomato sauce and the first ingredient is sugar, bad sign. Bad sign. Thank you. Yes, I love that. All right, guys, so this is how I was taught how to make a bolognese. Like I said, studied in Italy, and we had this really, really cool class where they would teach us a region, like a regional food, and then we'd go fly to that region, no joke, and eat the food. And so bolognese really comes from Tuscany. And so we were taught you always brown the meat first because it builds a really good base in the pan, and then you add your vegetables. And then you can kind of scrape it all together. The vegetables kind of deglaze the pan because there's natural
The beauty of
juices.
this recipe too is, Joel, you don't even have to drain any fat.
Oh, heck no.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah, that lean beef, there's no need.
I know.
Less
And
step.
If we end up, Joel, if we wanted to take out onions, for a couple folks are asking, there might be onion intolerant. My thought was that maybe we could like up the celery and up the carrots to kind of do a flavor mix. But any other ideas on for folks that might be onion sensitive?
yeah, I have two ideas. One is to experiment, and I think that's always important. I think it's really cool that you both know that you're onion intolerant. Like, kudos to you guys, because some people just go through life and they don't realize, hey, I feel bloated, I don't feel right, why? So good job on you. I would experiment with leeks, spring onions, things that are a little bit more mild. And if that's not your jam, maybe something like ground onion, like dried onion. So it's really, really easy to digest. But if none of those work, I totally agree with Misha. Just double down on the veg. I love it. All right.
Yeah, I think that mushrooms in this one too, for anyone that's feeling the mushroom vibe at some point, not to replace onions. But I'll hand it back to you, Joel.
No, totally. Mushrooms would be killer. Absolutely. So browning this all together, you can see it's all starting to get kind of charred and beautiful. The turmeric is really happening for me. I'm like loving this addition. It's really happening for me. So,
Hey Joel, can you give it a crank of some black pepper in there too?
done. See,
So black pepper actually helps with the absorption of turmeric. So if you're ever using turmeric, just add a little crank of that black pepper. I can't even talk anymore. Cracked black pepper. There you go. Because then it'll be better for absorption rate.
I love it. I love it. Speaking of black pepper, a big pinch of salt. That's going to help bring out a lot of the moisture. And now we're going to add some liquids to this. The biggest one we're going to add is, I know this one's a killer, guys, when you buy it at the grocery store, store-bought tomato sauce. Now, ours is obviously in a bowl. We decanted it for the recipe. But I know that Julie, actually, you went to the store, dove a little deep into this, which I love. So I'm going to add this in with some tomato paste, some chicken stock, and milk, and just kind of start scraping the pan. But Julie, what did you learn about tomato sauce, and also what should we all look for?
So fun fact, I was actually a retail dietitian at a time, and part of my job was to really go up and down the aisles and figure out labels and reading them, help people understand, and finding the best products. So tomato sauce, if you go into the aisle, how long is that row of options? It's so overwhelming. And maybe you're used to having the same sauce, or you're not even sure what to be looking for. So for your tomato sauce, I like to really look at those ingredients, making sure that those first couple ingredients are something that we know, and then that's something that is going to be for tomato sauce. Like, for example, it should not be sugar as our first ingredient. And then also we're looking for some sodium and the added sugar. We really don't need added sugar in our tomato sauce. I have a couple options here. Everyone's grocery store is going to have a different variety, but these are the top ones that I found that were really great. I don't know if everyone's heard of this one yet before, but Rayo's.
Oh,
Have
yeah.
you ever heard of Rayo's?
Yeah, of course.
Let's just take a peek at those ingredients for a second. Where are the ingredients?
I'm scared.
Italian whole peeled tomatoes, olive oil, onions, salt, garlic, basil, black pepper, oregano. That is it.
Sounds like
Very
something I would
easy.
make.
Yeah, exactly. You could make this, but again, we're looking for convenience. Having this in your pantry is going to be really great.
Yep.
There's another brand. It's called Odomot. It's actually tomato spelled backwards. And what I love about this one is they add more veggies. So there's like blended carrots in here. What else? There's sweet potato, butternut squash, spinach, beets. So if you're looking to add more veggies without really masking the taste of it, this could be an option too. One that I found, Ragu has so many different varieties, but they just came out, maybe they just came out with it, but I just found it, is this Ragu Simply.
Okay.
And again, ingredients are really great. Just tomato puree, onions, olive oil, salt, garlic, basil, oregano. So with all of these, it's really great to shop around, compare, and don't stop at just one, because all of them are going to have a little bit of a flavor profile. And my last one here is Victoria. This one is actually a low sodium option, and it only has 120 milligrams per serving, and that's only 5%. So a little hack per serving. 5% or lower of the percent daily value is considered a lower amount. So this one is a good option.
So what's your favorite out of the three? Is that weird for me to ask?
Out of all of them, these kind of are rotating in my pantry, but Rayo's, the Odomot, I do this one with my daughter because I'm trying to get her to eat as many vegetables as I can. So this really sneaks stuff in, but I haven't tried this one yet. I'm really excited for the Simply Ragu. because this price point was really, really affordable. So I love
That's
that.
awesome. I'm curious out there to our group if anyone's willing to share their favorite tomato sauce.
Oh, and I just saw a comment also too from Bev. I definitely love that Rayo's and also Victoria's. They have a garlic-free or onion-sensitive sauce. So if you are sensitive to those two, they have that already bottled in a jar for you.
I love it. I love it. Did we get any answers about everyone else's canned sauce or what they like to buy?
A lot of Rayo's fans.
A lot of Rayo's fans. Okay. All right.
Yes.
We got to get Rayo's
I
on
loved
the phone.
someone said, I think, let me see, Kristen was like, if you can read the ingredients are an Italian grandma would recognize, which I thought was a great way of summarizing it.
And something about the ingredients too, which is really important, your ingredients are listed from most dense to least dense. So whatever the product is mostly made of is going to be listed from first to last. So if sugar and salt are really in the top, those are something that we want later on in the ingredient list. We're not trying to incorporate a lot of that into our daily diet.
I'll throw a couple more out from the chat that people are loving, which is for all of our low FODMAP folks, garlic onion makes you sensitive. FODI is a brand that I just learned. Muir Glen folks like. Let's see what else. Oh, Aldi makes a really good one that's low sodium, oil free, tomato basil. So for Aldi stands out there, which I know there are a lot. And then Stacy, she makes her own, and that is amazing.
Yes.
I know, it's one of those things like I don't tell my grandma that I have these in my pantry, but when you're short on time, I mean, it makes dinner so much easier.
Even when you're not sure on time, sometimes it's nice to just pop one out. I'm with you. And I'll tell you guys, I mean, just the smell in here is unbelievable. So again, just to recap, we browned the beef with a little bit of turmeric, right? And then after that, we added all of our vegetables, our mirepoix. We don't have to call it that, but all of our goodness. We added garlic into there as well, which was so good. And then we added in our store-bought tomato sauce. We use Rayo's. And then we go with a little bit of milk. We went with a little bit of chicken stock, low sodium, and a little bit of tomato paste. The tomato paste really intensifies the tomato flavor. I bit about 400 cranks of pepper because I heard from someone, a little birdie, that it works really well with turmeric, a big pinch of salt, and we're back to where we are right now. And it smells, I mean, I can tell you, when I told you I lived in Italy and learned this, I traveled with my buddy Ben, who's this amazing pastry chef. We rented 2 Vespas, and we went around Tuscany, and we just would pull on the side of the road with a little burner, and we would make bolognese with just local meats and vegetables. And this is what cooking's all about. It's like I'm getting those vibes of being 18 again and sitting on the side of the road slurping up, bolognese with my buddy Ben. And I love that about cooking. It really transports you. So I'm going to add a big pinch of chili because I like it, but it's totally up to you. Some chili flakes. These are the same chili flakes that you would get at the pizza restaurant. So keep those packets even if you don't use them. And then we're about to jump on a train. I'm calling it the blend trend train. This is a train that is moving quickly throughout the world. And what that train is this idea that you don't have to eat all carbs, all meat. You can actually cut them in half with really smart alternatives. And so you'll notice when we first started cooking this bolognese, I used half a pound of beef. Well, almost every recipe for bolognese in the world calls for at least a pound, if not a pound and a half. Usually it's beef, pork, veal, a mixture. So we started with half the beef, so there is beef in there, but we're gonna supplement it. We're gonna blend it with a really phenomenal protein, a plant-based protein, some beautiful brown lentils. Can we go on the close-up there? Look at those. So I would love for Dr. Hellerstein or Julie, benefits of just kind of tossing these puppies in.
Well, I think Julie talked about it before, when you're talking about the amount of saturated fat in your meat. Well, we don't think that you need to totally get rid of meat in your diet, but if you, use another plant-based protein to supplement that animal-based protein, you're going to give yourself the protein you need and really eliminate a big dose of saturated fat. So lentils are a great addition, and they add texture. That's sort of the right Where you get the flavor of the meat, but you don't have to have quite the quantity.
I
This is
kind
a
of feel
half
like,
pound for 8 people. That's not a lot.
yeah, I kind of feel like we're a blend, Dr. Hellerstein. Like you've got the chef, you've got the flavor vibe, and then you've got the health vibe, and that's what this is all about. It's okay to eat beef. No one is saying it's not. It's saying, can you cut half of that with the lentils? Of course, right? We're going to talk about the same thing with pasta. We're going to do it. We did it with cauliflower rice last class with the Moroccan chicken. Instead of all bulgur, we put some cauliflower rice, which is just ground up cauliflower. So these changes, this blend change, allows you to get the texture, get the flavor of what you love, but also impact your health in such a deep way. Julie, any thoughts from your end?
Yeah, I love this. This is what I call the blend trend. And it's always going half plants, half meat. And you want to find something that you enjoy, but then also that mimics the same texture. So lentils work really well. Mushrooms can work really well.
Yeah.
Crumbled tempeh. And you're adding in that fiber component coming from the plants. And adding more plants is what we're looking for.
Yeah, I think it makes it more sustainable. Like if you totally say, I'm going to eliminate all meat, you're probably going to, or eliminate all carbs, you're probably going to rebound and go in the opposite direction because you need something where you can sustain it. And if you have the flavor, you have the feeling of something you really love, but you've blended it, then you're not going to do that, up and down vacillation between healthy and unhealthy.
I love
Plus,
that.
it's so affordable. Like, how much is a bag of lentils?
Oh my gosh.
Compared to a pound of beef. We cut that in half. So these are meat extenders. We're extending the meat by using these plants, and we're also saving money.
Yeah, I used to do it in the kitchen when we had too many people show up to the restaurant. We're all scrambling and freaking out what to do, and so you just add more volume, and it works. Sorry, Dr. Hallerstein.
Oh no, it's just Misha coming in from the chat. I think what's really cool about listening to you all speak here is that we're basically packing so many vegetables, plant-based proteins into this really flavorful recipe, all from things that are just sitting on your shelf in many ways. And that's the coolest thing I think about, like dinner in a pinch. What do? I don't have meat at the store, but I can do it with lentils. And that's the thing that I'm like, wow, so inspired. There's a sauce I have, lentils I have, maybe some old carrots in the fridge, and I can have something really delicious it looks like. So I'm very inspired.
I know you don't think
The other thing
vegetables
is, like,
when you, yeah. Go for it, Dr. Hallerstein.
Well, I was going to say the other thing people worry about is like, oh, Joel's adding some salt to this. Like, oh my gosh, I'm going to overdo it. But it turns out that if you're cooking at home, it's very unlikely that you're going to overdo the salt. Like 70 to 80% of the salt that we take in our diet is from processed foods, from things we buy at the restaurant, those snacks, things that come in bags with labels. And, the American Heart Association is saying, oh, we need to limit our salt, to 1,500 milligrams a day, or WHO 2,000 milligrams a day. Most of us in the US are like 3,600 milligrams a day. That's a ton. It's almost twice what we need. But if you're cooking at home, even if you add some salt to what you're making, like Joel does, you're not going to overdo it.
Yeah, that's a good call.
And from a chef perspective, Joel, why do we use salt?
From a chef perspective, salt doesn't change the flavor of anything. It just enhances the flavor of everything, right? So
bringing up those beautiful flavors.
It brings it out, right? So if I salt Julie, she becomes more Julie-y, right? That's the idea. And so you just want to taste those lentils, those carrots, those caramelized onions. And to me, I'll I know we're all geeking out over this. This just looks like bolognese to me. That's another thing. It just doesn't look different, doesn't smell different. It's bolognese. It looks awesome. All right.
Hey, Joel.
Yeah.
Quick question for you on this. Other than salt, do
Yeah.
you have any other flavor enhancer tricks? I'm
Yeah.
thinking like pepper, lemon. Like, what are some of the other ones that you might use here?
Yeah, it's a great question. So there's other ways to bring out the flavors of other ingredients. So one is acid. So Misha mentioned lemon. That's awesome. If you can give a squeeze of lemon, a balsamic vinegar in here would be really great. And then you can cut back on the salt. That's a great flavor enhancer. Another one is called umami. So things like mushrooms, anchovy paste, coffee, chocolate. They have this thing that makes it taste very savory. So if you're able to kind of remove the salt, but instead maybe grind up some dried mushrooms or just put some mushrooms in here. It will taste more flavorful because it brings that umami. So those are two kind of options there for you. Good question. Guys, the ragu, I say ragu, bolognese is cooking down. It's getting thicker and thicker with every minute. Liquid is cooking out of it, and you can see it kind of started up here on the pan. Do you guys see where the line it started? And now it's cooked way down, so it's really thick and delicious. So it's the perfect time to cook our pasta. We've got some whole wheat spaghetti. To me, I mean, come on. Go buy processed white spaghetti, and rich spaghetti, or get the whole wheat stuff, which tastes toasty, delicious, and is obviously packed full of nutrition. And the way that I like to drop this into the actual pan is, Luke, can we go to a top down real quick? There we go. Is I kind of wrap it around, thumb to finger in one hand. I add the other hand below it, and I'm going to go two opposite ways. So this hand is going to go one way, the other is going to go the other, and then I drop it, and it kind of spools out, and that allows for the pasta not to stick to each other. A lot of people think, oh, you can just put some olive oil in there, right? That will make it not stick. Not only is that going to add unnecessary calories, it doesn't work. So just let the pasta fall in there. I kind of make sure that they're not touching, and at this point, they are boiling. Now, we've been talking about this blend trend, this idea of, well, do I need all that pasta? I mean, we've all sat on the couch after eating a beautiful pasta and feeling like, I don't know if I'm going to move for the next 3 hours, because that was a lot of pasta. So can you break up this pasta? Can you blend it with something? So before I go to what we're doing, I'm curious to you guys, what could you blend this pasta with? This is for my Palm Health peeps out there. What could you blend it with to really, substitute, add vegetable, and of course, some body to it?
Yeah, so there is that blend trend that we talked about, which I love. And I love that tip about the pasta, because what I see in cooking classes, when people break the pasta, my grandma will come after you.
Yes.
For that. So don't do that. But you can cut back and even use white pasta if you want to, and go half plants. So we're doing some zucchini, and Joel's going to show you how we turn them into noodles. But there's also so many pasta varieties out there that you can try. So like the whole wheat pasta. And if you're choosing something that is whole grain, you want to make sure that the first ingredient is the word whole on the ingredient list. You don't want it to say enriched whole grain, because now you're actually getting the whole grain, which is 3 parts, and getting all that benefit. You can also try some other options. So this is a red lentil spaghetti or a chickpea spaghetti. So these are just using chickpea flour or red lentil flour, and that's going to both up the fiber and protein. And this one is honestly one of my favorites. It's the Protein Plus. It's a combination of the different, let's see, there's semolina, there's lentil flour, pea protein, chickpea flour, barley flour, and spelt flour. And this has 10 grams of protein and 5 grams of fiber in a 2-ounce serving. And my opinion, this tastes closer to a white pasta than the whole wheat pasta does. So if you think like sometimes the whole wheat pasta is a little too weedy, I guess you can explain it, you might want to try some other varieties. But then also doing that blend trend, you can cut back on the amount of pasta and add more fiber, like your zoodles that we're adding in here today.
Yeah. So let's talk about the zoodles. I'm wondering if anyone had any ideas of what else to blend this with besides zucchini. I mean, should anyone come in the chat?
Yes.
Yeah.
A lot of folks are excited about actually just maybe skipping the blend altogether and going straight veg with spaghetti squash.
Oh,
which
yeah.
I love a good roast spaghetti squash.
Yep.
How would you do that actually? Quick trick. How do I end up, if I buy spaghetti squash, do I just cut in half, put it in the oven, or what's the quick?
Exactly. You cut it in half. There's some seeds in the middle. You scoop those puppies out, drizzle it with a little bit of olive oil, and then roast it at 350 for about 40 minutes until you can put a little fork in it and it's very tender. Let it cool, and then use that same fork and scrape the middle, and you'll have this, what looks like spaghetti. It's really good. It's a great call. But we did talk about zoodles. Let's go to a close-up here. So these are our zoodles. I don't know if you guys can see that, but really beautiful shredded zucchini. You can do this so many different ways. I have a friend, she has a company called The Spiralizer. So it's really cool. It's like $40. You can put it on your surface and you can put things like bell peppers and carrots and apples and it turns them into long noodles like this. I really like a mandolin. Does anyone have a mandolin at home, these guys? Yeah, a lot of us? Okay. Why I love a mandolin and so much for eating mindfully and healthy is you can shave things much easier and much finer than you could ever do with your knife. Even if you're a trained chef like me, I can't get this texture and this, that type of deal. And I love that because I get bored of salads that are just greens. So to have a shaved salad with fennel and apple or shaving beets or those types of things really is great. So it's a texture game. So I'll show you what this is all about. First, I start with a zucchini. Whenever you have something round, it's always safe to kind of square it off. So I take my knife and just the smallest sliver, I kind of just cut one side of that zucchini. Okay, see that? That way it sits flat and it's a lot safer. I'm also going to take the top off and the bottom off, just so they don't get caught. And then on my mandolin here, there's these little teeth. Maybe I'll hold it right here, Luke. Maybe, yeah, there it is. You guys can see the little teeth here. So I'm going to drag my zucchini across, and it's going to catch those little teeth and create little ribbons that look and feel like pasta. So check this out. Really slow. Hopefully you guys can see this. It's really easy.
Everyone's afraid of cutting themselves on this thing, so all the tips you can give us.
Yeah, understood. The first tip is to go very slow. There's no reason to go fast. The second tip is to make sure whatever you're doing is really dry, and that's totally important just so there's no slippage. But if this really scares you, I said it earlier, go back to a food processor. They have a lot of attachments now that are not necessarily spiralizers, but they can shred things and do things that the mandolin could do. And again, you don't have to worry about nicking yourself. So here's what we've got, a big pile of zoodles. Look at these. Are those not awesome? I know.
And
So-
just a little tip.
Yeah.
Most grocery stores will have spiralized zoodles or
Yes.
carrots or whatever in the produce section fresh, or you can even buy them now frozen.
Yes, you're so right. This is a trend that is happening so quickly. It's kind of like the cauliflower rice that we were all talking about last week, which I love. So at this point, I'm going to taste our sauce. I have the hardest job in the world. Have to taste this meat sauce, see where we're at. But I just want you to see the texture of it is creamy. The lentils have blossomed and bloomed, and so it really made it naturally creamy. And I just kind of get in there with my spoon. Unbelievable. Probably too spicy for most people, but not for me. It was all that black pepper, Julie, you made me add. But it's really good. I love
I have
it.
a question, Joel.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No problem.
It's too spicy. Do you have a tip on how to like calm it down? Like, should you add milk or like what's the fix?
Yeah,
here?
there's two fixes. One is fat and one is acid. So yes, you can add cream or milk and it will kind of dull it. The other thing would be like a squeeze of lemon or like I said, balsamic vinegar will kind of dull it. And by the way, I oversalt things. I overspice things. I do all of that all the time, even as a chef.
You said it in the beginning. You can't really mess up with this one, which was what's so cool about
I know. You can just cook this one forever, but this one is so good. And if it starts to get a little bit too dry, you can always grab a little pasta sauce and just add it in, but I don't think we need it. So this is the part that most people mess up at home when they're making pasta, is what they'll do is they'll take the pasta out of the water, they'll put it in a nice serving bowl, and then they'll dump the sauce over the top. Oh my gosh, do not do that. It doesn't give the pasta enough time to just drink and just absorb the pasta. You have to cook your pasta in the sauce. All right? Half of this, yes, we're talking about health. Half of this is I want you guys to have really tasty food at home. So I'm going to take the pasta out. This is our whole wheat pasta. I'm going right from the water right into the sauce. I kept it a little al dente, which means I just cooked it about a minute less than the package says because it's going to continue to cook in the sauce. And now I take my zoodles, the same amount. You just kind of eye it and you just drop that in. And now we're blending. Guys, we're doing it. All right. And then you just get in there with your tongs or your spoon, and the heat of the bolognese and the pasta will start to kind of wilt down the zoodles. And you have, look how much you have. And the texture is stunning. It's lighter. The color is beautiful. So we're gonna let this cook and just kind of hang out. But I wanna pause. Is there any questions or thoughts from all of us around this step?
I was just gonna pitch in here. You know, those zoodles actually have like 20 calories per cup, which is crazy. The white pasta or the whole wheat pasta is more like 200 calories.
Whoa.
Per cup. So it's insane, you know, by putting half zoodles in there instead of noodles. You're getting your fix of pasta, but you're cutting back on the load.
Yeah, I didn't realize it was that big of a difference. That's nuts.
Yeah, huge. It's crazy.
Huge. So we've been talking about labels all day. One of the craziest labels out there, one of the most, I'm going to say, controversial labels out there is salad dressing. And it drives me crazy when people buy salad dressing. I'll go to their house. They have this amazing pasta dish or roast. And then they sit down and they bust out the wishbone or they bust out and I'm like, oh my God. Because here's my thought. Salad dressing is like 3 or 4 ingredients. You can make it in about 3 or 4 seconds. And so much of what you buy at the grocery store is loaded with preservatives and things that you don't want to eat. So I'm going to shoot this one over to Julie. Julie, thoughts on salad dressings?
Yes, it was actually funny that you mentioned that because I always make my salad dressing and I can't remember the last time I bought it. So I was going up and down the aisles and I was in the aisle for probably a solid 20 minutes looking at all the different labels because I was just trying to find one without any added sugar. And it was quite challenging. So
yeah.
I actually was only staying within the aisles. I know they have refrigerated sections now too, but it's the same concept when you're reading the label. You want to look at your ingredients, and then something for dressings, I like to look at added sugar if there's any, and then just general calories because it's so easy to overdress a salad and that to really quickly add up calories to a healthy, beautiful salad. So a couple that I found is this Newman's Own Classic Oil and Vinegar. So ingredients are pretty great. No added sugar. They're using a lot of red wine vinegar, spicy ground mustard, sea salt, lemon juice, and they use canola oil as the base here, and that is a heart-healthy fat. Another one that I found, this is more of a specialty, Primal Kitchen. They're balsamic. They use avocado oil as their base with balsamic vinegar and spices here. Again, no added sugar. And so just the difference between these two, this one has 160 calories for a 2 tablespoon serving. And this one, 2 tablespoons, is only 100 calories.
Oh,
so
yeah.
their ratios of oil to vinegar are definitely different. And when Joel makes his, we'll talk through how to really balance the flavors, but not overloading on the oil. And then last one I found was this Annie's balsamic dressing. Another one just didn't have any added sugar, and they're using canola oil as the base as well. So Joel, what's like the chef version? I know the answer, but like what's the chef version of the ratio for oil to vinegar for like a traditional vinaigrette?
I don't know if you do know the answer because there is an answer that most people don't get. So I'm going to repeat that back to the group here. Does anyone know the ratio of a standard vinaigrette? So oil to vinegar. Put it in the chat, or we'd love to hear you out loud. Guys, part of this is that we get to talk with you. So we want to hear from you. Come tell us out loud. What is the standard? You'll get a gold palm star. We'll send you a pomegranate.
Those are good holiday gifts, is those fresh fruit.
If you raise your hand in the chat, I will call on folks. If anyone...
Don't be shy.
Oh, Kathy. All right, Kathy. Let us know.
Sorry about the dog in the background.
No
I use
problem.
a half a cup of good olive oil, 3 tablespoons of vinaigrette or vinegar.
Yeah.
I like to use balsamic a lot. I have a lot of flavored balsamics. And a tablespoon of good mustard.
Oof.
And we've got some really good Vermont and New Hampshire made whole grain mustards around here that I use as the base of that, plus fresh herbs when I have them.
Amen. You just got a virtual kiss. That was awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, there
That's
you go.
great.
Yeah.
So Julie, now I'm going to put you back on the spot. What is the ratio in your mind?
So from a dietitian perspective, I like to do 2 to 1. So 2 parts oil, 1 part acid.
Okay.
You could always go 1 to 1,
Yeah.
which
yes.
always works too.
See,
But
she's covering
a
all of
lot
her
of
bases.
recipes-
I love it.
What?
You're covering all your bases with me. I love it. You're like, you can also go 1 to
I
1.
just want to make sure.
I love it. I love
But then
it.
also so many recipes I see online or in cookbooks, they do 3 to 1.
Yeah. Okay, so I'll give you the chef's perspective because let's be real, guys. There's no right answer. It's whatever tastes good to you. So 2 to 1, 2 parts oil, 1 part vinegar is standard. Really good for salad dressings like this, like a nice green salad. I like 1 to 1, meaning 1 part vinegar, 1 part oil, so equal parts. When I'm dressing something that's like not lettuce, that needs a lot of seasoning, potatoes, pasta, rice, or stuffings, those things need more acid. They need to pop more. Salads don't, right? And so the 3 to 1 is when there's something very tender. So like arugula, mint, herbs. That's when I would use 3 to 1. So 3 to 1 for very tender, 2 to 1 for your standard salad, kind of crunchy kales and things like that. And then 1 to 1 if you're dressing something that's not greens. Hopefully that's helpful to people.
I love that.
Yeah.
I learned something new today.
Yay! So did I. I've learned something new for the past 45 minutes from you guys. All right, so guys, the easiest way to do a dressing, I'm going to show you. This takes no time whatsoever. So Luke, can we get in really close there? So I have a little just deli container that I put some Dijon mustard. The mustard's going to make it creamy, a little bit of spicy and great. And then I'm going to take some garlic. And and this is totally optional, but I'm going to just take a little grater and just grate the garlic right in. Okay? If you don't want to do the garlic, if that doesn't work for you, get rid of it. So a little bit of garlic right in. That's a big piece. Let's take that out. And then a squeeze of lemon. Right? And then I've got some rice wine vinegar. This is really nice. This is what they put on sushi rice. So I'm doing this all in a clear container. And Luke, if you can go back to, yep, there you go. I wanted to do this totally for a reason because you do not need to go get your tablespoons. You do not need to go get your cups. You can just do it all in a clear container and then watch what happens. When I add my oil, and for this, I'm going to go 2 to 1. So 2 parts oil, 1 part vinegar. They'll split. So I'll add enough here. You can see the split happening. Right? And that's why I like to do it in a clear container. It's because I can see, okay, here's 1 part vinegar, and we're going to go about double that with oil. And I'm always left with way too much salad dressing. A little pinch of salt, lots of black pepper. All right? And then what's really cool about doing it in a little cup like this is you can kind of put the lid on top. And when you're ready for it, no need to whisk it, no need to do anything, just give it a shake. Just like this. And what's double cool is then when you're not using it all, throw it back in the fridge. So that's the idea. Don't get a bowl, don't get a whisk, don't watch those cooking shows that tells you have to whisk super fast and slow, really important. No, grab a deli container. Right? Grab a jar and call it a day.
We're realistically cooking here.
We're realistically cooking. This is how we really cook. And that's what it's all about. So I shake it up and look how creamy this is. I mean, look at that. See how it's kind of painting the sides? That's emulsified. That means it's absolutely together. So this is a perfect salad dressing here. So what I like to do is I've got just a salad here with some red lettuce, some shaved beets that we had left over, some radishes, the tops of those beets. It's whatever you got. And then I always go around the edges. I don't just plop it right on top. Around the edges, right? A little bit on top, but the edges are where really it distributes evenly. And then now I'm going to get chefy. But if you use tongs...
So wait,
Yeah.
right before you get chefy, I have one ask for you.
Yes.
People loved what you just did with this shaking vinaigrette. Do you
Yeah.
mind doing one more recap of how you did that?
No, not at all. That's why we're here. Let's do it.
Yeah.
So we started with mustard in the bottom of the actual container, and then we added the amount of acid we wanted. So we just kind of eyeballed it. We did a little lemon, a little bit of vinegar. We used rice wine vinegar. We grated a little bit of garlic in there as well. Then we started to add the oil. We didn't shake it, but it split. So we could see we wanted 2 parts to the 1 part vinegar. So 2 parts oil, 1 part vinegar. We would have kept going if we wanted to 3 to 1, or we would have stopped earlier for the 1 to 1. Then we put on the top, and then we shake it up. Now, in about a minute or 2, it's going to split again, because oil hates anything that's not oil. So it will split again. That's okay. It's in a jar. It's ready to be shaked. So it's amazing to me when you go to the grocery store and you see these, packaged salad dressings and they're creamy. Immediately in my mind, I'm like, what do they have in there to keep it creamy? Because naturally, it won't be creamy. It will split. So they have something, and you always look on the back, and there's an emulsifier or a stabilizer or something that you can't pronounce that's about 14 syllables long, and that doesn't belong in your body, period. Full stop. I just dropped a microphone somewhere, okay?
We show snapping.
Yeah, there's the snap. There's the snap. So
we had a tip on avocado too for the creaminess, which I thought was a good one.
Oh yeah. We should talk creamy dressings another class. That's a good good call out. So guys, I don't like using tongs for salads, even though they're really easy. But Luke, if we get in close, you can see if I start to toss this, I crush the salad. See how I'm crushing it? The tongs are strong, man. Right? So leave the tongs away. Use the best tools you have in the kitchen. Your hands. Use your hands. They're clean. They're ready to go. And be light with the salad, right? Just kind of get underneath the bottom. You can feel it. You know where the vinaigrette is. And this is how professionals do it. It's okay. Using your hands is what homemade is all about. I'm not squishing and scrunching. I'm just kind of getting light. And now at Palm is our favorite part of the program. We call it building the plate. Is that what we call it? I think we just call it the plate. So, Dr. Hellerstein, do you want to tell people who are not familiar, and we're going to do this every class because it's so important, what's our philosophy here at Palm around the plate?
Well, this recipe is a little different, but we want half of our plate to be vegetables and or fruit. And we got a lot of veggies in the sauce, so we're going to have more than half that. And then we want 1/4 of a lean protein, and we've got the lentils, and we've got the beef there for our lean protein. And then we've got the whole grain as another 1/4, or about the size of your fist. So, Joel, show us how to do it.
I have cooked for a lot of notable people in the world. It's always scary when you have, a doctor, a nutritionist, watching you plate of food. Hopefully this is right in the right kind of portion, but you said kind of half and half. So as I pick this up, I'm seeing the zucchini, I'm seeing the lentils, and I'm just going to kind of go on one side of the plate here. Whenever I plate up pasta, I like to give it a little twist like that. I'm going to do it one more time, just a little bit more. The twist kind of builds it up high. And we love eating things that are coming at us. So a nice little pile like this is really, really nice. Cool. And then, so there's half my plate. Another thing just to call out is you can plate in a bowl like this as well. It's harder to see how much you're actually taking. So I like a flat plate to really think about portions. And at this point,
you can also use smaller dishes too, because when your plate looks full, it looks like it's going to be more filling than if you have a giant plate and there's a lot of missing spots.
I love it. That's a great call. And then at this point, I actually go into the salad and I kind of go to the top where all the lettuce is. And I pile that nice and high, right? Just like this. And then I kind of go back and kind of look for the beets and the parts that I kind of want to sit on top, right? So just something like that.
I think there were 2 cool things that you did in this class, and I wanted to use this time, which you're using kind of your hands, is that There were two times you told us to really slow down on certain steps, and twice you told us to use our hands. And I think it's this like interesting kind of realization that when you're cooking, a lot of it is five senses. A lot of it is like, intuiting into what you're doing. And I think it's really cool how you showed us little moments in which playing with your food is encouraged, or when taking a deep breath is encouraged. It all really adds up.
Good. Oh, I'm glad that came across. Thanks for saying that, Misha. So this would be my plate, and I'm not done because I see pasta on the plate, and I studied in Italy, which means there's cheese a-coming, okay? If you don't do cheese, I get it. We do Parmesan, we do it fresh grated, and I love this. This is called a microplane. If you don't have one, you can see the garlic still left over from the vinaigrette. It is worth buying one. They're $14, and what I like about it is it really grades things finely. So it looks like you're having a lot, but you're actually not. So it's really nice to kind of grate a little bit of cheese over the top. I'm doing it over the salad too because it's cheese. But that is what my plate might look like. I'm scared. Dr. Hellerstein, Julie, does this look acceptable?
It looks beautiful.
Yeah,
Absolutely
you
beautiful.
with your
And
eyes
also,
first. Yeah.
your Parmesan cheese has a ton of flavor, so you don't need to use a ton.
Yeah.
That
Kathy's
little
cooking
sprinkle
along.
goes a long way.
Oh, we all got very excited. Kathy, are you cooking along with us today? Oh, right. Well, have you plated yet? Not yet. Okay.
I love it. We want to see it when you do. Dr. Hellerstein, did you have a thought?
Well, I just think it looks great, and you eat with your eyes first, and I wish I could take a bite here. It looks
I
great.
know. I wish I could send it to Boston. We're only 3,000 miles away. We'll figure
I
that out
know.
one
It'll
day.
be a little cold.
Yeah. All right, I'm going to give it a quick try, and then I've got some housekeeping to go. But let's just give it a shot. I'll let you guys know what I'm getting here. Whoa. You guys, not only do you not miss more beef, not only do you not miss more noodles, you kind of, like, this is the new normal. Like, this just hits. It feels light. It's incredibly flavorful. I mean, very spicy in the best possible way, unctuous with all those tomatoes. It's cooked together beautifully. We scraped the bottom of the pan, so we got all those kind of beef renderings there. We have so much left over. I love the crunch of the zucchini. Love it. It's not watery at all. If you go back to here, it's not pooling around the sides. Luke, can we get close? See how it's just tight against the pasta? You don't even see the zucchini in there. It just melts away. Why wouldn't you do this? That's the big question. Why wouldn't you do this? You guys, this is incredible. I hope you really enjoyed it. A couple of things just to call out. I'm going to eat that for lunch. It's 1 o'clock here on the West Coast. Oh my gosh, that's so good. So, as I said in the very beginning, this is number 3 of a very special 6-part series with Palm. And number 4 is next week. Now, typically we meet on Wednesdays, right here, 4 o'clock Eastern, 1 Pacific. Next week, Wednesday is the day before Thanksgiving, and we all hope you are in the kitchen with loved ones, surrounded by great food. So our session next week will be on Tuesday, same time, same place, but 1 o'clock Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern. And again, that's going to be the turkey chili, and we're going to do this crazy mac and cheese that Misha has dreamed up of that we're really excited to kind of learn more about. But I had an absolute blast. I learned a ton about labels, what to look for. I'm curious, any final thoughts from Team Palm over there?
I will add one quick thing for everyone that's going to join us next Tuesday. We're actually going to do a little bit of Ask Me Anything Thanksgiving edition. So bring your questions on how to navigate Thanksgiving. Bring your questions about how to do our mac and cheese is a plant-based dish, so it's all going to be plant-forward. And I'm telling you, I told some folks in the chat, my cousin is our taste tester. He's very picky, and he took all the leftovers home. So excited about that. But thank you, everyone, for joining us. Thank you to Dr. Hellerstein, to Julie for sharing all of your thoughts with us today. I have a lot of things to add to my shopping list now. We hope you all do too.
Yeah. Well, Everyone, have a great rest of your week. We will see you next Tuesday. Until then, happy cooking, and we'll see you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.